Hello, everyone. It is your host with the most toast. I'm an idiot, and I recorded already about like an hour of this, but then I found out the video was not any good. It was all bad. So here I am again. Of course you won't know this because I won't upload the bad video, but let's start. I've never played this game. Well, I lie. I did play it just an hour ago. But so far it actually seems pretty good, and so I think it's a good story, and let's start on this adventure together. I tap my pen against my cheek, mumbling to myself as numbers race through my mind. That makes a total of $375. I get paid $9 an hour, so that means... I glance down at my notebook and quickly scrawl down the calculations, probably using much more force than necessary out of frustration. Why are textbooks for this year so horrendously expensive? Do they realize how much more shifts I have to cover just to make up for the dent in my wallet? Finally satisfied with my planning, I let my pen fall to the table with a loud clank, causing several people to turn their heads in my direction. I look up with a defiant gaze, and end up meeting the eyes of a boy who's sitting a couple rows in front of me to the right. To my surprise, he looks extremely familiar. The same glint of recognition enters his eyes, which only serves to confuse me further. I cock my head to one side, my brows furrowing. Do we know each other? The familiar stranger lifts his hand in an excited wave. Despite my usual conscious attempt to ignore the hundreds of red strings floating around me, I can't help but notice the frayed, thin red thread wrapped around the stranger's finger. Just like that, the pieces click in my mind. It's Aaron, isn't it? The nerd from the same high school I went to. Isn't he a year younger than me? How is he in college already? Aaron's lips twitch up to a warm smile when I lift my hand slightly in return, too embarrassed to wave back. His lips part and he seems to be mouthing something to me. My frown deepens as I try to decipher his silent message. Deep in concentration, I almost jump out of my skin when the professor's voice suddenly raises in volume, echoing in the room. Perhaps the two of you can resume your heartfelt reunion outside of the room. I wouldn't wish to interrupt, of course. My head snaps up at the lightning speed, my face burning in embarrassment, and I notice Aaron turning back with a horrified expression. No? Well then, will one of you be so kind as to answer my question then? I can only stare blankly at him without a single clue what question he's referring to. Aaron seems to be in a similar predicament as he's squirming so much in his seat from what is undoubtedly an unprecedented situation that I fear he'll fall to the floor soon. He said it's worth 60% of our grade for the course. I try not to let my surprise show when a low hiss drifts to my ears from behind me. Attempting to sound casual, I clear my voice and repeat what my anonymous savior said. You said 60% of our grade for the course, right? The professor pauses and turns back to the projector screen with a nod, but not before shooting me one last warning glance. In relief, I twist around slightly to thank whoever it was who saved me from getting kicked out of the class on my first day. God, thank you so much. My voice trails off as I lose the ability to speak from pure shock. The boy sitting behind me lifts his head slightly with a questioning look, brushing his hair out of his eyes. Okay, am I the only one, guys? But I swore to God when I first saw him, I thought he was a female. I feel really bad. And not to offend, but I don't know. Just what he's kind of wearing and his look. I guess the long hair kind of deceives me. I swear I'm not a horrible person. but let's continue. You're welcome. Are you alright? His eyes fall to my finger for a brief second before his eyes darken in understanding. Oh. Recovering from my stunned speechlessness, I lower my voice to a hush and whisper urgently to him. My heart is pounding in my chest. You can see them too, can't you? I have no idea what you're talking about. His cold reply cut across the air, and I jerked back, my mouth closing uncertainly. No, I can't be wrong. This is the first time I've seen anyone else without a vivid red string around their finger. His string is just like mine, so faint, so stretched, that it's invisible to the naked eye. My entire life I've been able to see everyone's red strings of fate, which supposedly lead them to their fated soulmate. There are many states possible for someone's red string of fate. It took me years before I could hypothesize what they mean. Some people have strings of vibrant, sharp red, while others have strings as faint and thin as a ribbon. Some strings can be knotted or frayed, or even broken. Some strings even lead back to the bearer themselves, ending tied around their finger on the same hand. Despite all that I've seen, I've never met anyone else with a near invisible string until now. The way his eyes immediately flicked to my finger can only mean one thing. He's a seer like me. Look, you don't have to lie to me. I can see he's looking at you again. I whirl back around to face the front of the room, both grateful for and irritated by his warning. Before I can decide what to do, there's a loud commotion around me as everyone starts chattering excitedly and leaving their seats. Huh? I glance at the projector screen at the front of the room and my heart sinks. It's a 3-person project that will last for 2 months, and it's worth 60% of our final course grade. This is what the question I asked was about. An exclamation of disbelief escapes my mouth. I hate when I can relate. Professors, I hate that they do this. Like, they make big projects worth so much, and you don't know anyone in the class. Like, it's not like high school. Like, you have to actually go out and meet people, and now I'm sounding really antisocial, but you know what I mean. I hate when professors weight something so much that you have to find random strangers you have no clue about. But that's just my side tangent. I quickly read through the topic, and a hint of panic starts to bubble up inside me. This is a philosophy class. I swear I picked philosophy for all my generals courses, hoping to bluff my way through the essays. Why is the topic heavily related to science? I can almost see my GPA slipping away from me like a puff of smoke. I try to calm myself with a few deep breaths. It's just a group project, Valerie. I'm sure you can ask someone who's good at science for... Aaron! At my barely restrained shout, the guy in question turns his gaze on me. He's standing alone, awkwardly at the side, and his face lights up with a bright smile when we make contact. Hey Val, do you want to be in a group together? Yes, I do. My knees almost weakening from the rush of relief, I hurriedly Let me take a sip of water and... Retry that sentence. I hurriedly Okay, I'm an idiot. I hurriedly gather my belongings to rush to the seat next to his. I did it, guys. As I'm about to leave, I suddenly remember the guy sitting behind me. I turn to see him scribbling away on his notebook without a care in the world, and he clearly has no intention to leave his seat to find a group. I need to learn more about him. He may be unwilling to talk to me about one thing we have in common, but I'm not going to give up. Hey, do you want to be in a group with me? There will also be another guy. He's from my high school, and he's really smart and great at science stuff. He'll be great to work with. He meets my eyes, leveling with me with a stare without a reply for a long moment. I start to shift my weight from one foot to another, uncomfortably waiting for his reply. Finally, he speaks. Okay, thank you for inviting me. I'd be happy to accept. At a snail's pace, he begins to place his items into his bag to switch to another seat with me. The entire time he doesn't say a word to me. Unnerved by the awkward silence, I blurt out the first thing that pops into my head. I'm Valerie Wong. I'm a first-year student in journalism. What's your name? I don't think you've mentioned it yet. There's a tiny glint in his eyes, and he looks surprised at my question. I'm Luke Hayden, second-year literature major. He doesn't seem inclined to speak again, and we both make our trip over to Aaron's seat in silence. Well, at least he's polite enough to answer when I ask him a question. Perhaps he's just naturally a quiet guy. Val, hi, I'm so glad to see you, really. I'm so sorry I got you in trouble earlier. I was just really delighted that we actually share a class this year. Aaron leaps from his seat as we approach, and he beams at me with enthusiasm. I'm glad to see you too, Aaron. I must say I'm surprised. I thought you were a year below me. I graduated early, so I'm here now. Computer science, you? I give a low whistle, impressed. I'm unable to whistle, sorry guys. Journalism. Anyway, thank you so much for letting me be in a group with you. This guy behind me is Luke, and he wants to join us. Is that fine with you? Yes, of course, why not? It's not like I know anyone else here. Relieved, I let myself collapse on the seat next to him. Thank you, God. Am I happy to see you? Isn't this a philosophy class? Why in the world is this group project topic on science? Well, to be fair, it's more about evaluating and comparing scientific theories with ideas from philosophy, so it's not really on... He stops at my exasperated stare, and he flashes me a sheepish smile. Don't worry, we'll be fine. Let's get started, shall we? Affected by his contagious enthusiasm, I can't help but smile back. Might as well. Aaron immediately launches into a speech about the various ideas he has to come up with in his past 2 minutes since the professor announced the topic, and I find my mind drifting to the guy still silently sitting on the other side, writing away in his notebook. Luke Hayden, are you like me? Can you see strings too? Why do we both have basically invisible strings? Where are our red strings of fate? I'm sorry, I'm ready now. I scramble over to the table where Aaron and Luke are seated, blowing the stray strands of hair out of my face. Aaron's book dangles loosely in his hand as he speaks to a pretty girl standing next to him. He appears to be stuttering, tripping over his tongue, and he has a love-struck expression that I find myself smirking. Wow, I'm stuttering like Aaron right now. So the rumors are true. Aaron's heart really is easily captured. Luke notices my arrival first, and he meets my eyes for a brief second before nodding and returning his gaze to his notebook. She's here. At Luke's quiet announcement, Aaron jumps in his seat, immediately whirling around to give me a warm smile, even as his cheeks are tinted with a slight shade of pink. Right, yes, Val, you're here, sorry. I'll catch you later, Aaron. Oh, you're leaving? I mean, I'm sure you have something better to do, right? I'll see you around then, Fiona. The girl leaves with a wave, and Aaron stares after her retreating back before turning to me with an embarrassed smile, his cheeks tinted red. I'm sorry, did I interrupt? No, I just met her 5 minutes ago. It was a casual conversation, nothing more. Is it just me, or does he seem saddened by that? Are you sure there's nothing more to it? He seems startled by my teasing grin, and his flush deepens. Did you not notice how gorgeous she is? She's way out of my league. So yes, I'm certain there is nothing more to it. He pauses before seemingly unable to restrain himself from adding to his sentence. But did you see her smile just now? My God, I swear, my heart stopped when she flashed those dimples at me. I smirked to myself, shaking my head in amusement. He only met her 5 minutes ago and he's already infatuated? Without meaning to, my eyes flicker to his hand. The faint red thread around his finger is frayed at the end, where it simply just stops, floating in the air and connected to no one but Aaron. A wave of pity rushes over me. Does he know? Does he know that his soulmate is lost to him in this lifetime? That she's passed away? Oh, it's got very dark. Jeez. Even if he doesn't, could this be one of the reasons why his heart seems so easily swayed? How he doesn't even when one red string of fate is broken? Next to me, Luke shifts in his chair, and when I look at him, I can tell he's avoiding my eyes. He must have noticed I was staring at Aaron's finger, and guessed what I was thinking. Luke must know what broken string means too. It merely takes 2 seconds to search on the internet to find out that, according to a legend, the red string of fate can bend or stretch, but never break. It takes fewer than 2 seconds to realize that legends aren't always right, and those walking on the streets with their red string of fate broken is all the proof we need. Aaron's voice brings me out of my thoughts. Anyways, sorry about that. Hey, Val. Oh yeah, hey. I'm sorry I was late. I got tied up at work. Don't worry, it's fine. These things happen. We should probably head to the room we booked before the library gives it to someone else, though. Alright, I almost forgot about that. 3 of us stand up in unison and start moving towards the private study rooms. On our way, Aaron begins making conversation, his earlier desolation vanishing. So Val, we didn't realize you worked here at the library. Yeah, it's a part-time job. I need the money. Does it even pay well? What do you think? He grins in response to my wry look and pulls the door open, gesturing for me to enter the room first. Aaron lets out a low whistle as he and Luke follow me into the study room, examining our surroundings. Luke doesn't react, but I notice a glint of amusement in his eyes and a slight upwards twist of his lips. Clearly, as a second-year student, he's been in these rooms before, and he's amused at our reactions. Nice place. I didn't expect the library rooms to look so fancy. They certainly didn't back in our high school. We share a quick grin at the memory of the cramped, dusty old library rooms. No wonder it was so difficult to book a room. Speaking of which, Val, since you're working in the library, do you get any privileges, say, in booking these rooms? His eyes meet with an expectant look, and I can only laugh helplessly, throwing my hands up in the air. I don't know, I've been working here since August. I'm not sure if I get any privileges or not. I'll try and ask. Pulling out a chair, I fall into the seat with a loud exhale of exhaustion. I give myself one heartbeat to close my eyes and rest before straightening, regarding my group mates with a hopeful, bright smile. Alright, so fill me in first. What did I miss? Nothing. We wanted to wait for you before we began our discussion. Oh. Pleased, I give him a nod of gratitude. Thanks. I'm sorry about the delay. We can start any time now. At some point during my brief conversation with Aaron, Luke has already retrieved his notebook from his pocket and resumed scribbling in after grabbing a seat for himself. As though feeling my expectant stare burning a hole in the crown of his head, Luke lowers his pen and flips his notebook closed. Yes, please begin whenever. Right, where did we leave off a few days ago? Have you guys considered the ideas I suggested? Which one do you prefer? I pull out my laptop from my backpack and flip it open, opening the document Aaron emailed to me yesterday. I make a face at all the unfamiliar scientific terms. Well, I was thinking maybe we can choose to do the project on the origins of the human race and the evolution theory, maybe. It seems like it would be the easiest out of all the possible topics, especially since we can compare it to with the religious view. Are you sure? I have a feeling a lot of groups will be doing the same topic, and it'll be harder to stand out if we want that A. I suppose we can try to go deeper into the subject and explore the more complicated parts. I mean, we could probably not only talk about Darwinian evolution, but also discuss a bit about intelligent design theory and... I can only give him a blank stare, blinking as he continues on for a long minute, spouting nothing but jargon that I can't even wrap my mind around. You lost us at complicated. Aaron breaks off with an apologetic smile, but I can't help but chuckle. Well, at least one of us knows what we're doing. I'm sorry, I'll try to explain again in a clearer way that's easier to understand. No, please don't, it's fine. I can hardly bite back a smile at Luke's hasty reply. It's clear he's not eager for a repeat of Aaron's scientific explanations. Well, Aaron, first, do you think we should go with this topic? I know you said it might not be a good choice, but because it will undoubtedly be popular. He frowns, pondering my question for a moment. It doesn't look like he's pondering. He looks like he's chewing gum or something, or he has, like, tobacco in his mouth. What is that face? Sorry. I don't know. It's not something I would personally choose, but it's doable as well, of course. We continued discussing about various aspects of the project, debating about the advantages and disadvantages of each topic. As expected, Luke rarely speaks, more of an observer than a participant, but when he does chime in, he usually says something surprisingly insightful. It's clear Aaron's respect for Luke has grown enormously from the way he's clapping Luke on the back warmly as he stands up to leave at the end of our meeting. Good work today, everyone. Thank you. That was quite fun. Well, fun isn't really the word I'd use to describe the project, but you're right. It was a good discussion. Thank you. You two are brilliant. To my surprise, Aaron actually blushes at my compliment and he stammers through his response. I didn't really do anything. You came up with really good ideas yourself. Anyways, I should probably run and see you tomorrow, Val. He practically trips over his feet as he scurries away towards the exit, leaving Luke and I staring bemusedly after him. There's a beat of silence before Luke also stands up from his chair, gathering his belongings into his backpack. It's time for me to leave as well. Thanks for the hard work today. Wait. The word tumbles out of my mouth before the thought even forms clearly in my mind. Luke peeks up at me from my messy hair falling into his eyes without questioning a look. Yes? I'll walk with you. His hands pause in their motions for a moment before he shrugs and slings his backpack across his shoulder. Sure, why not? Are you heading home? Hurriedly sweeping my items into my bag, I rush over to him where he's standing by the table, waiting for me. I fall into step beside him, and we walk out of the room together. No, I still have something else to do first. What about you? Yeah, I don't have any classes for the evening, so I'm just headed home now. So you live off campus? Are you from around here? No, I just share a rented apartment with a friend nearby. Right, I live in the dorms instead to save money. Probably wasn't a good idea, to be honest. With all the people around all day, it's much harder to ignore all the strings floating everywhere. Probably end up with migraines every week. Still, this is the most affordable choice. Instead of pretending he doesn't know what I'm referring to my surprise, Luke simply frowns without a word. I open my mouth to ask him the questions burning in my mind, but he beats me to speaking first, his voice a soft murmur. Try keeping your eyes on the ground when you are walking past busy areas on campus. You probably already know that, but I find out that it helps. Oh, he's confessing something. This is getting interesting. My footsteps slow for a second in my shock at Luke's open admission to the secret we share. He continues to walk on ahead, and I stumble after him, excitement bubbling up in my chest. So you admit it. You can see the strings after all. How much do you know about them? Why are we the only ones who seem to be able to see the strings? Why can't we see our own or other seers' strings? The questions spill out of my mouth one by one, but Luke keeps his gaze firmly ahead without a hint of acknowledgement that he heard me. Finally, the frustration at his uncooperative attitude explodes out of me in an angry yell. Hey, did you hear what I asked? You're the first person I've met who's like me, you know? Do you know how difficult it has been all these years, unable to talk about anyone about what I can see, unable to ask anyone what's going on? The least you can do is answer me and tell me what you know. Luke also stops walking and turns to look at me fully. There's a strange pain in his blazing eyes that almost makes me stumble a step back. Why do you even want to know? If you're smart, you'll learn to just ignore their presence and pretend you can see nothing out of the ordinary. Trust me, it's better that way. What do you mean by that? I don't believe that. If we can see red strings of fate, there must be a reason. Luke simply shakes his head and pushes the exit doors open, walking away from me without another glance backwards. He's swallowed up by the crowd in an instant, but the memory of the burning emotion in his eyes refuses to leave my mind for a long, long time after we part. And on that note, guys, we are going to leave it at that. Thank you so much for being a great audience. I will see you later, and toast out.